This is the revision video for Unit B2, Adaptations. Conditions in different habitats can vary greatly. Deserts are hot, dry environments, whilst the Arctic is very cold. The animals and plants that survive in these places must be adapted to survive in such extreme conditions. An adaptation is a feature of an organism which helps it survive in its natural habitat, making it better able to compete for resources. Surviving in the extreme cold of the Arctic would be almost impossible for animals not adapted to live there. The polar bear is a great example of an animal that is well adapted to survive in this extreme environment. Adaptations of animals to survive in cold environments include small ears to reduce the surface area so less heat is transferred to the environment. Thick fur, often white for camouflage, the thick fur insulates the body against the cold. Sharp teeth to kill prey. A lot of animals surviving in extremely cold conditions are carnivores, as plants can be difficult to come by as they are buried under ice and snow. Strong legs that allow the animal to run quickly on land but also aid swimming. Large feet to distribute the animal's weight on snow and ice. Claws for killing and holding prey. Blubber beneath the skin. This is a thick layer of fat that insulates against heat transfer to the surroundings. The stored fat can also be used for respiration to generate heat to keep the animal warm. Animals living in extremely cold conditions are often large in size, as this reduces the surface area to volume ratio and therefore minimises heat loss. Animals living in the ocean will also have fins and a muscular tail to allow them to swim. At the other end of the scale, there are animals that are adapted to survive in extremely hot and dry conditions. Their adaptations include dry dung and concentrated urine to reduce water loss, a store of fat like a camel's hump. The fat is stored in one place to reduce all-round insulation and can be broken down to release water. Nostrils that can close to prevent breathing in sand. Thick eyelashes to stop sand getting into the eyes. Long legs to lift the body as far away as possible from the hot ground. Large feet to spread their weight so they do not sink into the sand or mud. Little or no fur to reduce insulation. Large ears like an elephant to lose more heat and also can be used to fan the body. Elephants also have a large body size to knock over plants for food. Wrinkled skin to increase the surface area for heat loss. And an elephant's trunk allows it to suck up water to drink and also to spray water over itself to cool down. The polar bear, orca, camel and elephant are just a few examples of animals that are adapted to survive in extreme conditions. Some other biochemical adaptations to extreme conditions include bacteria that live in hot water springs and geysers in volcanic areas that can survive temperatures above 80 degrees C. Normally enzymes would be destroyed at these temperatures, but these bacteria have adapted so that their enzymes still work at such high temperatures. Periwinkles that live on beaches that can produce glycerol as an antifreeze in winter. And carrots living in frosty soil that produce a protein-based antifreeze. Another example of an animal surviving in extreme cold is the physiological adaptation of penguins. They have a special blood flow system called a counter-current exchange system, where warm blood from the body is used to heat cold blood returning from the extremities. The environment is always changing, and plants and animals have to cope with this environmental stress. Such stresses might include changes in temperature and water availability. Animals use behaviour patterns to cope with environmental stress. Some examples of this are migration. Some animals move at different times of year to more favourable environments. Canada geese, for example, migrate south during the winter. Hibernation. Some animals hibernate when the temperature falls, slowing down their life processes and entering a dormant state until conditions improve. Sunbasking. Some cold-blooded animals, such as crocodiles, lie in the morning sun to warm their bodies after the cold night. This allows them to become active. Water storage. Some animals, like camels, can drink and store huge quantities of water when they find it. And it's not just animals that are adapted to survive in extreme conditions. Plants are found in all sorts of environments too, and like animals, they need to be well adapted to compete for resources. We will now look at some examples of plant adaptations. Northern pine forests are cold for much of the year, and water is often frozen for many months, meaning that the plants cannot absorb water through their roots. This is why the leaves of pine trees are like needles. This reduces the surface area of the leaves and therefore reduces water loss. Water loss is also reduced by the thick waxy layer on the surface of the leaves, and these pine needles have fewer pores from which water can be lost. Temperate forests, such as those in the UK, experience cold dark winters and sunny summers. Trees that survive in these forests, such as oak trees, lose their leaves in autumn. There is little light for photosynthesis during the winter, so the leaves have no function. During the summer they have leaves with a large surface area to make the most of the summer sun. Deserts are very hot and dry. There is little water available for plants. Plants such as cacti that survive in the desert have spines for leaves. This means their leaves have a much smaller surface area to reduce water loss, and also the spines mean animals are less likely to eat them. They have a thick waxy cuticle to help reduce water loss as well. Cacti also have a shallow root system that spreads and covers large areas so they can absorb as much water as possible when it does rain. They also have swollen stems to store the water that they find.